Welcome, Dr. Patricia. Hello.
Hi, how are you?
Fine.
Thank you very much. Let me put on my video.
Okay. Must be
How
a
are you
long
doing?
day. Very fine. How's it going?
It's a long day and a long night ahead, but I'm happy I'm able to join you today.
Okay.
And I'm really looking forward to this session. And as you can see, I decided to dress like a teenager.
Yeah, I'm surprised.
Yeah, because that's exactly part of the journey.
The journey. Wow.
Yeah, it's part of the journey, so that they feel also that I'm not so far away from them. Yeah.
Wow. So if you don't mind, I'm going to introduce you a bit, and then we can move on.
Absolutely, I'm ready.
Okay. Very much. So, gentlemen, our guest today is Dr. Patricia Murugami. But just a caveat, Dr. Patricia, this series has been very successful. We've had like 11 sessions so far, and people are really liking it. So, yeah, a lot of good, of course, is going to come out of it. So, welcome for joining us today. So, Dr. Patricia is founder and CEO of Breakthrough Leadership Transformation Group, with more than 2 decades of leadership service in various organizations. Just to name but a few, there's KPMG, Deloitte and Touche, Bamburi, Lafarge, and Strathmore Business School. So she has a doctorate in business administration on authentic, inclusive, and transformational leadership from International School of Management, France. And then she's an award-winning coach and leadership catalyst. She has been an awardee of Top 40 Under 40 Women in 2010. And then in 2019, she won the National Diversity and Inclusion Corporate Champion, the Kenyan Award. So I'm told that Dr. Patricia, she's going to confirm that she's very passionate about empowering others to make the best of the opportunities they have and to be the best they can be, to keep rising, So today she's going to talk to us and about becoming your next best self. She has also written a book on that. So Dr. Patricia, please welcome. We'll have questions at one point.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Yes.
So welcome, please.
Wonderful. Thank you very, very much. I appreciate. Thank you very, very much. I want to start off by saying I'm really grateful to be here today. And I can see we have about 7 of us. I will request, because I want this to be a conversation, that if it's possible that you can turn on your videos, I'll be really happy. And so that way we can have a real conversation. And I'll request the host to see if you can pull off the banner.
Okay, I remove, okay.
Yes, please. Yes, please. Yeah. So that we can have a real conversation.
That's right, yeah.
So we can just stop sharing the screen.
Just a minute.
Great, I can see some people putting on their videos. Thanks, HP.
Yeah.
It's okay, just stop sharing the screen. I know sometimes this digital things can
be, yeah.
Just at the bottom, stop sharing. And it's okay, just go back to Zoom. You don't have to close, just go to Zoom and stop sharing. Stop sharing the screen so that we're able to see each other.
Yeah, in fact, yeah. Thank you very much.
Perfect. Wonderful. Yeah. No problem. Hi, Ian, how are you?
I'm good.
Great. And HP, what does that stand for? Sorry?
Be shy. What's your name again? Sean.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, no problem. So first and foremost, I want to say I'm really excited to be here today. You know, I was telling my daughters, so I'm married to my husband, George Murugami, and we have 2 daughters, and I've been doing a lot of leadership work for both men and women. But I must say this is the first time that I have spoken to young men And I'm so thrilled because it takes both men and women to change the world. And so they asked me, so you're going to speak to them? And how comes you're wearing a cape? I said, because I want to reduce the distance between them and me, and for them to realize that just a couple of years ago, not too many, I was your age. So where did I go to high school? I went to high school to Precious Blood Ruta. I was in boarding, and I actually loved it because I didn't have any sisters. And so I was always looking forward to, you know, the connection and the engagement. And so today, as we talk a little bit about becoming your next best self, that has really been, in a sense, my purpose. And I started my work after I left high school. I then went to Strathmore. I did some IT. I started CPAs. And then I was called to Lower Kabete, which is where then I did BCom. And University of Nairobi Lower Kabete was, you know, it was also another experience altogether. But what is very interesting is when I look back as I was preparing for today's session, I realized that even that first job I had as an intern has helped me grow to who I have become today. You know, I joined KPMG after I came out of campus immediately. Mm-hmm. And they used to call us rags. Can you imagine? The rags have joined. Yeah. And by the way, we were so proud to be called out of campus into KPMG because we're like 10 of us. Yeah. But when they started calling us rags, I used to ask myself, why are they calling us rags? And then I realized that that means that we are supposed to do anything in terms of staple, clean up the files, do everything. And some people couldn't take it. Some people actually said, hey, me, if I'm going to be called a rag after my degree, there's no way I'm going to stay here. But you see, for us, I mean, me, there's no way I was going anywhere else. My parents would have just said, you're joking. And I said, let me stay on. So the first lesson around becoming your next best self is appreciate the season you are in. Appreciate the season you are in. I want to start by asking you, how would you describe 2020? Anyone can tell me? Those of you who have not put on your videos, feel free to do so. How would you describe 2020? Any words that you can use to describe 2020?
Mixture of emotions.
A mixture of emotions, thank you. What else? Sorry, I can't quite hear you. Oh, somehow it's David, sounding very muted. I know, David, I can see you're saying something. No problem. By the way, we can also use the chat.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, so David, misfortunes, yeah? Full of misfortunes.
Yeah.
What else? How has this year been for the rest of you? What word would you describe it? So, you know, the disappointing. Disappointing, Neil, thank you. What else? Feel free to type on the chat, whichever way we can connect, I am happy to do so. Hectic, Jesse, yeah, tell me about that. I'll tell you a little bit about this week and how hectic it's been. What else?
New.
Any other comments? New. Francis Allen. Very true. Any other description of 2020? 2020, fine. So for some of us, it has been fine. What else? Anyone else would like to share?
Well, so maybe I can say challenging.
Yes, I can see someone saying something there.
Okay.
Yeah, for you, it has been challenging.
Yeah. There's a new chat.
What else did you say there?
Somebody has written unexpected.
That.
Yeah.
Absolutely unexpected. Yeah. Let me tell you, these words that you've described this year are real, and it's how you're feeling. And I want to start by recognizing that and well done, because I have taught senior leaders, and when I ask them, how would you describe your feeling around a year, they don't know how to describe it. And so a second lesson that I learned early in my journey as I continue this journey to becoming our next best selves, is to honor how you're feeling. I think many of you may have been brought up in an environment where you're told, don't cry, boys don't cry, don't show emotion. Is that true? Or have your parents said, it's okay, you can show how you feel? What has your experience been?
Ian, tell us something.
And you can type in the chat, you can unmute, whatever you prefer.
Yeah. There's always a joke in the school.
Yes.
The boys always say, "Mwanaume hapana lialia." It's a joke,
exactly.
But shows you the kind of...
Exactly. But you see, the problem with that statement, which is culturally from that angle of which we bring up our sons to not show emotions, is that when they're trying to become their next best selves, there are going to be some obstacles in the way. So first and foremost, I really want to applaud all of you for sharing how you found this year. Disappointing, hectic, mixture, surprising, all those words are valid. But I now want to ask you, if you were to use a word to describe your 2021, a word that is anchored in who you want to become. Let me give you an example. So for me this year, my word of the year was courage. Courage, yeah? And I chose the word courage without knowing that 2020 would require me to really grow in courage. But I found that as the year, I don't know that the word chose me or I chose the word, because on March 13th, we were about to have our first global conference this year on the 14th. And on March 13th, the first case of COVID was found. It was the most disappointing, most stressful, and the hardest thing I've had to do, because we had 300 people signed up for our conference at Villa Rosa Kempinski. I had some Ugandans who'd already flown into the country. And now we had to get back to each one of them and tell them, we are so sorry, we can't hold the conference tomorrow, imagine tomorrow, and we don't know when we can hold it. And if you need a refund for your ticket, which of course we didn't have a budget for, we're happy to do so. So when someone said there that it was unexpected, that at the end of it all, it was hectic, disappointing, I mean, I really can relate with you. But as we talk to everybody and try to tell them, you know what, human life comes first, I learned another lesson. That people, when you talk to them and communicate your struggle or the decision you're making to make life, it's a bit different, but to make life easier for everyone, they will respect you. So as they came back to us and said, no, we understand human life first, maybe COVID will come and pass soon so we can have the conference, we didn't have an answer for that, but no one asked for a refund for their ticket. So for me, the lesson was, if you have to make a hard decision, and sometimes you have to make that decision to impact on others, don't hesitate to say the truth. Say, you know what, we have to obey the government and we need to do this. Needless to say, later a few people asked for their because the year became very tough, some people lost their jobs, they asked for their conference money back. But even as we gave them that money, they said, you know what, whenever you'll have the conference, we will pay for it then. You know, I'm so excited to tell you that we held the conference on November the 7th, and we had the same number of people. If anything, we even had people now on Zoom. Yeah? How many of us have learned a new skill this year? Which, even using Zoom, which skills have you learned this year? Any skills?
Cooking.
Cooking. Wow. Well done, Ian. So what do you like to cook?
Well, I'm not too sure, but it's like added on to just knowing how to make eggs and tea, like courses, dishes.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Very good. And maybe there would have been no opportunity in another year to do this, right?
Yeah.
What else have you learned this year? Any of you? Anyone else?
Emmanuel has written something.
Augustine Areba, you know the beauty of not... Oh, Emmanuel has written something. Okay, thank you. Let me just look at that as I give...
Augustine.
Okay, somehow I can't see Emmanuel's comment yet.
Ah. sorry, he wrote to me. He's saying he learned.
Emmanuel, do you mind reposting it on the chat on this side? Yes, you can just read it out. I can't see it, but I see someone has told me they've learned coding, they've learned piano, others have learned Zoom, operating a computer. Let me tell you a funny story about Zoom.
Yeah.
So I have a young daughter who's 6 years old, and she's been having her classes on Zoom. So one day I wanted to pass behind her, and I wanted her to put off the video. And then I told her, just turn off the video. And you know, I generally don't like it when I'm teaching and people have their videos off, but I understand sometimes bandwidth and such things.
Yeah.
And then she says, my teacher doesn't like it when you put off the video. She thinks you're multitasking. I told her, spell for me multitasking. How old are you to even understand multitasking, you know? And then the next day I was trying to get onto another session. And she told me, Mommy, if it's a meeting that happens often, you just drop down. You just press this arrow and you see the meeting code. I mean, I'm learning Zoom from my 6-year-old, right?
Oh,
and I think to myself, in another 20 years, she'll be entering the market to work, isn't it? So that brings me to ask you, when you think about becoming your next best self, and you think about a word you would use for 2021, what word would you use? What word would you say 2021 is my year of? So for example, 2019 for me last year was my year of being intentional. So I left a pretty good job in Strathmore School to start my own business, but I needed to be intentional. I found that unless you're intentional, it's very hard to grow a next best self. So 2020 is my year of courage. What would you say is your one? What word to brand will be your year of? Any thoughts?
Time management.
In terms especially of something you want to become more courageous. Yes, go ahead. Yes, I had someone say something.
Yeah.
Time management.
Aha, very good. So 2020 is your year of time management. Anyone else? 2020? 2021, sorry, 2021 is your year of? Those of you who have your videos off, I would love to have a conversation with you. If you can put on your videos, I'd be so grateful. So you know the beauty of not Ryan Minor, 2021, you want it to be a year of? Aha, Emmanuel says a year of focus, very good. You can also write on the chat. 2021, you want it to be your year of? Your year of being courageous. Aha. Aha, of planning, your year of planning. What else? 2021, let me just close the curtain here, give me a minute. 2021 is your year of learning, nice. 2021, 2021. Anyone else? I'd love to hear all your words. 2021 is your year of success. 2021. Your year of 2021, even if you just shout it out, unmute and just shout out, I'll be very happy. 2021, a year of not being
shy.
And I like the comments you're giving because say it in the positive. So maybe 2020, if I was very shy in the past, I probably would not have been able to give this session earlier on in my life. So to conquer that shyness, and I had braces and it was something else, I learned that, you know what? Let me try and be courageous. Hence the idea of 2021 being maybe your year of courage. Yeah. So I like the fact that you've chosen your words. And so as you think about these words, what I have found in my experience, even when I am speaking to board level, all the way to mentoring 13-year-olds, is that we all want to grow. We all want to grow. So I know you have notepads in front of you, and I want you to trace out your hand, draw your hand. Just trace it out like, you know, kindergarten children, the way they place their hand and then they draw. Just draw your hand on your book right there. Draw your hand. Draw your hand. Draw your hand. Draw your hand. I want you to show me what you've drawn. It's not an artistic competition. It is just to draw your hand. I'm about to share with you the secret of becoming your next best self. Just show me your hand. You can just put it up. Let's see your hands. If you've already put them up, you can just put on your video. We see the hand that you've drawn. You can just show it on the screen. Nice. Okay. Thanks, David. Thanks, Chris. Let's see who else. Just want to see your hands. Just draw your hand. Draw your hand. Draw your hands. Want to see a few more hands? A few more hands. Just put it up, Emmanuel. I want to see it a bit better.
Cool.
Cool, great. Oh, Augustine, I understand your camera is not working. Don't worry, I hope you've done it. Anyone else? Francis, Chris, Neil, Jesse, Brian? Anyone else would like to show? Anyone else would like to show their hand? Okay, so I'm going to trust that you've all drawn your hand. And you see, each of us have, at the top there, I would like you to put 2021 is my year of. And let me tell you, one of the things that I have learned is plan your tomorrow today. So we are now planning your 2021 in 2020. A lot of people wait for the year end and then they start creating New Year resolutions. Sometimes it's a bit late to be doing that, particularly after a year such as this. So we're now starting to do our plan towards who we want to become. We started by saying that next year you have a word for the year. So at the top there, say 2021 is my year of. So you put that like a title. And then now we are going to go step by step and ask ourselves, what do these hands mean? So the thumb is your physical health. Your physical health. So you can just write on the thumb, physical health. Physical health. Yeah. So what do I mean by physical health? Yeah. By physical health, I mean your diet, when you eat, what you eat, your sleep. This is a week that I am sleep deprived because I'm launching my book tomorrow. So it's been a very intense week. But I said I have to commit and honor my commitment to speak with you today, even to you, for you to know that sometimes you have a plan and sometimes it doesn't go according to plan. But to begin again and again is what is important. So the number of hours you sleep. Research has shown us that to be truly awake and alert, you need to sleep 8 hours. And in fact, I saw another research saying for teenage sleep, anyone would like to just share on the, you can also share on the chat. How many hours do you sleep? How many hours do you normally sleep? Like this week? in a night, how many hours do you sleep? Someone else? 8, 6 to 7, all right. 9, 9 or more, okay. How many hours do you sleep? 7 to 8, 7, pretty good. Anyone who's sleeping under 5 hours? Be very aware that over time he'll catch up with us. Exercise, what sports do you play? So I like to walk, I like skipping, I like swimming. Swimming this year has been out of the question. What sports do you play? How often do you play them? Because when you play a sport regularly, something happens because you release endorphins, which actually give you a feel-good effect. So even if you're going through a stressing time like third form and fourth form exams, dealing with the stress of a year with a pandemic like this, when you exercise, you actually stand a better chance of doing what it is you want to do much better than not doing it. So when you think about physical well-being, what would your goal be to become your next best self? For some of us, it's to sleep a bit more. For others, it's to exercise. For others, it's to eat well. For others, whatever it is that will help your physical well-being. That's the thumb. The second finger is the index finger. So this one is your intellectual, mental health. Yeah, your intellectual well-being, your mental well-being. Yeah. And this 5-finger goal strategy I'm sharing with you, I designed it and developed it, but it was inspired by Pope Francis. 5-finger, intellectual, mental. So what kind of goals would you put for your intellectual, mental well-being? What would you put? What would you put for your mental, intellectual goals for 2021? What's one thing you would put there? To read more. So absolutely, I'm with you. I've been trying to read over the last, I have a number of mentors who read a lot, and actually even my daughters challenged me in terms of reading. So last year I was trying to read 50 books in 2020. I know for some of you are like, only 50. But yeah, that was my goal, right? And somehow I was able to, get to still hear me, or is the network glitching? You can still hear me? If you can't hear me, just let me know.
Yeah, we can hear you.
To ensure that the network doesn't drop at any point. But I'm consoling myself that to write a book is equivalent to 50 books, right?
Mm-hmm.
But what is important is to choose your goal. And sorry about that, everyone. This is Vected.
Don't worry.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for extending grace.
Okay.
So what are your mental, intellectual goals? Anyone would like to share? If you'd written on the chat, I've missed that because I had to drop off. Anyone would like to just shout out your goals? One goal for your mental, intellectual.
Somebody wrote,
yes,
less social media. And then someone else also.
Aha.
Yeah.
Let's talk about less social media. What? Okay.
And then somebody else also said,
yes,
write an article.
Yeah,
those were the only other contributions.
Very good.
Yeah.
Good contributions right there. Less social media. Let me just tell you, gentlemen, that social media can eat your life away. Yeah, it can eat your life away like a cancer. Yeah, and I'm telling you, it's not only at your age, even older. So the sooner we get a hold over our mobile phones and find a place for them that they don't rule us the way they currently rule us, the more we are likely to move forward. When is the last time you did something without your mobile phone near you? You know, they say, get used to doing things that make you forget you have a mobile phone. There's a time when I was much younger, and I found, I mean, I was working, but I found that I would come home and I would be on my mobile phone, and my family wanted to talk to me, and I was getting irritated with them because I want to respond to that message and respond to this other one, and I forget that the people I should honor are the ones in front of me first, before I honor the ones who are on the WhatsApp group, on the TikTok, or whatever it is that I'm looking at. So one of the things that I have found that has helped me a lot in managing your mental intellectual goal, did you know that the level of hyper distraction is very high in our day and age? That a research was done that a doctor who is about to listen to his patient, they said that when they looked at several doctors in the US, they found that the doctor will retain concentration for 11 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 11 seconds before he or she gets distracted. And yet, you know, the role of a doctor is to listen to.
Yeah, we are there. Don't worry.
Okay, great. Somehow the screens, yes, wonderful.
Oh, okay.
So the digital space is very interesting because my network connection is usually stable, but today it's not, doesn't want, which means this session must be very important for someone here, you know, so we are going to keep going, right?
Yeah.
So intellectual goals. So I realized when I was getting feedback from my family, Mom, you're always looking at your phone. In fact, one time, I remember a friend of mine told me how her child told her, I wish I was your phone. You always hold it, you always smile at it, you take it everywhere. Now, I know as teenagers, you don't really want to hang out with your parents. But that friend of mine, she almost cried when she learned that her child felt that the son was subordinate to the phone. So what did I do? And I write about it in my book. I chose to leave my phone in the car. So I would get home and I leave the phone in the car. And the only time I would look at the phone is after everyone has slept, just for a few minutes to just check if there's anything urgent. So you'll find that to become your next best self and to deal with these goals of reading and doing things better, it means you have to practice some self-control. Let's talk about the middle finger. The middle finger talks about the emotional health, your emotional health. Yeah. And when you think about your emotional health, they say the word emotion means energy in motion. Energy in motion. And I think one of the things I started off by saying is to honor how you're feeling and then to learn to choose what to do with that emotion. So being angry is not bad, but what you do with that anger is where the decision needs to be made. Yeah. So to recognize, after I went out with those friends of mine, I felt upset. I felt that they were talking about a series which I know I'm not supposed to watch, but I just said, let me go and watch it because I felt curious. You see, when you recognize where the trigger is coming from, it will help you make the right decision. And because sometimes we will fall because we are human, it's also to pick ourselves up, just like this network keeps dropping. But to just pick yourself up and say, you know what, I'm going to soldier on with this journey. So I'm reminded the other day about a friend of mine, much younger friend of mine, probably half my age. And she was telling me how hard it is in this day and age to get a job, to live on her own, and she was telling me about her brothers who are probably in your age group. And what was very interesting is that she told me that the one thing that she learned from the mentorship we've been going through is never feel so ashamed of something you've done that you can't speak to. Yeah? Because sometimes the struggle is like, I'm like, oh my goodness, I'm Patricia, how could I have done that? No. When we keep those secrets, that's when they become bigger than us. Let me tell you a personal story, and I write about it in the book. When I finished campus and I started working at that place where we were called Rags, at some point we were working very late, so I chose to move out of the house and I rented a bed sitter, which is really just one room. I was so proud of that one room. I felt it was mine. I had saved up, I made a bed, got a bed made, I saved up, I got a TV. I mean, that was then, yeah? I'm not sure what you guys will do when you move out, what you get first. I guess some guys will be like, I have to get the best gadget first. Doesn't matter whether I sleep on the floor. Is that the case? So for me, anyway, I chose to get the bed. So I get into this house and I'm so excited. I mean, it took me a long time to convince my parents I want to move out. I'm the firstborn, only girl. And I'm sleeping. Finally, I sleep. And in the middle of the night, I hear this rustling of papers. And the rustling of papers is so intense. I quickly wake up, put on my light, and I'm like, oh my goodness, did I rent a house which has rats? Yeah? So I put on the light, and as I put on the light, what do I see? I see a big cockroach. Let me tell you, that cockroach was the size of my I don't know, my longest finger. You know those big cockroaches? It's almost like they've had genetic mutation, you know? And I was about to scream. Then I remembered, who am I screaming to? I'm in this house alone. So I remember something my mom had told us. I mean, you know, cockroaches, I don't think it's really a reflection of the level of cleanliness. Sometimes in an estate, a cockroach will move from one house to the next. And if you live near a shamba, there's some cockroaches that come from outside. But she said, when you see a cockroach and you put on the light, they disappear for safety. So I decided, since now it's 3 a.m., I'm going to sleep with the light on. And the following day, quickly talk to the landlord and tell him, you must fumigate or do something. I have just entered this house, so it cannot have cockroaches, and there's no way we can continue like this. But what's my story with the cockroach and emotions? You see, sometimes we have emotions that we want to hide. Just like a cockroach, those emotions build up and fester. Shame, guilt. When you're in darkness, you have not told someone you trust. You know, for me, maybe sometimes even just going for confession, speaking to the priest. There are times I've gone to see the priest when I was younger. And I'm telling you, when you're young, you're silly. So you can avoid some of these mistakes. When you're younger, sometimes we would go and say, let's go and see the priest who looks like he's very old. He won't hear our sins. But you see, that was a real silly approach, right? But what I learned, even when I went to see that priest who was very old, he would not be shocked with my sins. He would say, oh, thank God that you have had the courage to come here and tell me and tell our Lord what it is that you did. And you know, when I entered the confession, I was like this, you know, almost like I don't want anyone to see me. But as I came out, I was like, you know what? I feel on top of the world. The cockroach that I was trying to hide. And sometimes you go, you have a mentor, you have a good friend, maybe the priest, whoever it is that you trust. You don't want to tell them the mess you're in. And then when you keep it, it grows and it grows, and one day it explodes. So I have found those negative things that you feel terrible about, that you feel sad about, that you feel confused about, get them out. Get someone you trust, because for as long as there's darkness, you have not shared light, you have not shared with someone, they behave like the cockroaches. And let me tell you, to get rid of a cockroach, a family of cockroaches is not a joke. And they keep mutating and creating more problems for you, just like the cockroach. So gentlemen, turn on the light. When it comes to some of those emotions, things that you may do, have done, that you feel are weighing you down, they are standing between you and your next best self. And the minute you get them out, in other words, they call it get it out first, you know, get the frog out first, because in a sense it's choking you, the sooner you're able to move forward. So when it comes to emotions, I want to encourage you, check what it is that you feel is pulling you back. Even me, and I must tell you, I'm 45 years old. That is almost 3 times the age of some of you. But even as recently as last week, I have had to do an assessment of my friends and see which friends, every time we meet, we're always gossiping, we're always doing the wrong, you know, they're always telling me about watching I don't know what, which I think is not good for me. And imagine I'm 45. So how about you? When is the last time you did a social audit of your friends? I was telling my daughter, who's 13, tell me your friends and I'll tell you who you are. It is true. The minute she started pointing out for me her friends, I told her, do you see how this friend influences you to do this? And this other one has helped you become kinder. And this one likes rolling her eyes even to her friends and family. You pick that habit. Or this one has whatever it is. So sometimes, even in this age that I'm saying, the ripe young age of 45, or 16, 17, 18, like some of you, you must always try and do a social audit. That will influence your emotional your emotional well-being. The fourth finger is spiritual well-being. Spiritual well-being. You know, when the churches were open before COVID, people would come out of mass, and as they're leaving the gate, they can't even give each other away. And I used to ask myself, haven't we just come from mass? The priest was saying, love each other, be kind. But even just as you're exiting the church compound, you actually are not giving way to someone. I mean, how many times have we seen we've come out of a place where we could have been better, but sometimes we go back to our old selves. So maybe your spiritual goal will be to read the Bible. Maybe it'll be to learn a prayer. I have a friend of mine, she has 3 sons who are about your age. And one day they went to see their grandmother. And the grandmother said, so let us say the rosary. And then the boys were like, the rosary? And she was like, I thought you knew the rosary. So maybe it's just even to understand how to say a certain prayer. And whatever it is that will get you closer to your relationship with God, that's where you put that goal. And then the fifth finger is financial well-being. What do you think financial well-being means? Anyone? Financial well-being. Does anyone here run a business? Get a stipend? Anyone? What does financial well-being mean to you? What does financial well-being mean to you?
Victor?
Yes?
For me, financial well-being is the state of having enough money to sustain your basic needs, and also at the same time knowing your limits when it comes to spending money and how you, in relation to how you earn.
Aha, very good. Great insight right there. Thank you. Someone says financial well-being is being rich. And what is being rich anyway? By the way, if I was to ask you how much money you want to earn, you need now, how much would you say? Yeah? Sometimes that number is always moving, always growing. So sometimes the question is, how well do I use the money that I may have, right? Emmanuel says the way we spend our money and being financially stable. So if you were to put a goal to your financial well-being right now, in the age you are in, what kind of goal would you put? Give me an example. Any goals that you would put? I'm looking at my diary to see the ones that I put this year. What goal would you put? Any thoughts? For 2021, if you were to put a financial goal, first and foremost, what goals would you put? Just one goal. One goal. And remember, it's not only about making the money, using the money, it's even making good use of the resources. One of the goals I saw one of my mentees was, she said the goal that she'll put is to actually not waste. So when they're serving food at home, she won't waste, because she knows when she wastes food, puts too much and doesn't finish it, then that's a way of ensuring that her parents can't manage the household budget. I was fascinated by my nephew who's about your age, and he said his role is to switch off the lights in the house. Wherever there's no one in the room, he goes around switching off the lights, because he knows the electricity bill will only build up. So you can see of practical ways in which you can do this. What would you say is your financial goal? Any thoughts? Any thoughts? Yes, any thoughts?
To buy? My financial goal,
Yes,
is to save money, to be able to save money and buy
Yes.
proper shoes, good shoes.
to buy good shoes. What are good shoes for you, Victor?
Like Nikes and
Ooh.
those kind of
And
shoes.
what? Nike and what?
Yeah, Nikes and Yeezys, those kind of shoes.
Ah,
Stylish.
la, la. Stylish shoes, eh? I like that. We've been having those debates with my nephews and my children about stylish shoes, so I really can feel you. Okay, very good. What else? Thank you for that. What's your financial goal? Financial goal, anyone else? Please share with me your financial goal. Please share with me your financial goal. Financial goal, anyone?
For me, my financial goal would be
Any thoughts? You can also write. Yes.
To have enough money to give my family the best I can, and also at the same time have enough money for myself when I grow old, and be able to at least even help others.
Wonderful, wonderful. So you can see how your goals for money have to do with others, right? And that's fascinating. So how sometimes our goals are influenced by the people around us. Yeah? Anyone else would like to share? Anyone else would like to share? You can just unmute and tell us your goal. Your goal. Unmute and tell us your goal.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm
Me,
listening.
Yes, Dr. Patricia, I've been doing a social project in the slums
Yes.
with a number of friends. So our project is just to help more people, get more donors, and hopefully we get, especially getting the kids to school. So that has been going well, and then hopefully next year we can get more kids. It's quite, it's been good so far.
That's great.
Yeah.
And so you can see again, the goal here is helping others, raising money for others. And by doing so, you end up finding that you actually get very fulfilled. And it's interesting that you say that. I'll tell people a little bit of a story around that. Any other financial goal? Any other financial goal? I can hear the minds turning, the wheels turning. Anyone else would like to share a financial goal? I'm really listening. Financial goals. Okay.
Sorry.
Yes, someone wants to say something? I'm listening.
I was wondering, Ian Karanja, maybe tell us something. Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Just explain your goal if you want.
To be able to have enough for my families and of my own basic needs.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow, which you already have. What do you mean by that?
So to be able to have
let's say to be able to have enough for food, home, food, shelter, and just to not to lack, to be stable when it comes to the economy of my family and my own.
Nice, very deep, very deep. And so you can see how by thinking about your goals, you make a very big difference. And so when you think about your 5 goals, take a minute and just look at the 5 fingers you drew there and write down the goal in each one of them. The goal in each one of them. Once you do so, just show me with a sign like that you've done it, so that then I know. Just use the reactions there. And remember, just 1 goal per finger, just 1 goal. Are we there? Show me with a sign the minute you're ready. Are you there? Just one goal per finger, one goal per finger. Are we there?
Yeah.
So now I'm going to share with you something. Let's see if I can share screen. Yes, I can. Huh? Thank you. So today, I know we're getting to the tail end, but before we get there, my prayer for you was to become your next best self. Can you all see the screen?
Yes.
Okay. And what we've started to do is to create a vision of who we want to become, because they say that vision is a picture of future that produces a passion. And one of the things I want to encourage you, don't limit your becoming your next best self based on your current situation. In other words, never limit your vision based on your current resources, says Michael Hyatt. So we started by actually starting to prepare for next year. What did we do? I asked you, how was this year? And then I asked you, what word will you use to describe yourself, the word for 2021? Because you see, everyone has the desire to win, but only champions have the desire to prepare. And if you realize, I called you the Hodari champions. And each one of us can be a champion of our own life. And without knowing, you will be setting an example for many other people. But more importantly, I have found that too many dreams, good ideas, books, plays, excellent solutions are buried at Langata Cemetery. We just finished the month of November. And in that month, we remember people who've gone ahead of us and passed on. But I'm also reminded that many people are very fearful because they don't surround themselves with some ideas, or sometimes the fear engulfs them. But most importantly, they don't start. So today I'm hoping that by us looking at this 5-finger goal setting, we've started to desire to win. And we're not winning our neighbor or our friend. We are comparing ourselves with who you were yesterday. That's my goal for you. And in fact, that's why you see I dressed like I'm ready for sports. Because one of the things I've realized, if you go through life like you're running a marathon, you're likely to finish the marathon. But how do you finish that marathon? The 5-finger goal setting. So we've talked about your physical well-being. You've chosen one goal. We've talked about your intellectual goals, your emotional and social goal, your spiritual goal, and very much in the last place, your financial goal. This is even better. The reason why I chose that the order is in that order is because the financial well-being is affected by what you do with the other 4 fingers. The spiritual well-being, those who you've seen wedding bands are worn on the 4th finger, because they say that there is an artery, a vein that goes all the way to the heart. So your soul's well-being is so important because it affects also the choices we make in our emotional and physical space. This is called self-care, gentlemen. And if we start to think about our self-care in such a way that we can become better people and serve others better, then what happens is we are able to make a lot more progress in growing in our journey of becoming our next best selves. Actually, this video, I have a YouTube channel called Breakthrough with Patricia Murugami. You can watch the video there. There are about 50 videos. Feel free to go in, but there's a specific video on the 5-finger goal setting. Yeah, the 5-finger goal setting. So this is just another way of looking at it. So every time you look at your hand, ask yourself, what have I done today for my physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, and financial well-being? And when you do that, then the question you need to ask ourselves as we move forward is, I have visualized who I want to become in the 5 fingers. What do I need to unlearn? What do you think I mean by asking you, what do you need to unlearn? Those are habits, behaviors that no longer serve you well. Habits and behaviors that are getting in the way of you becoming your next best self. I come from Nyeri. We are told people from Nyeri have a hot temper, just like people from Kisii and people from Meru. Yeah? And I could say, us from Meru, us from Kisii, us from Nyeri. I can never unlearn being patient, being collected, being composed. Us, we have anger in our DNA. Seriously, yeah? Sometimes we give those kind of excuses, and that is what blocks us from unlearning. So you'll notice that people have been talking about VUCA, I think at the next level, and maybe you've come across it on social media, the VUCA, that this year has been a VUCA year, a volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous year. VUCA model is about talking about situations that we don't know how to navigate. But I thought that we could come up with a different VUCA model at Breakthrough, where I work. And the VUCA is, the first thing is visualize, which we have done, and learn. So let me ask you, for you to do any of those 5 goals, what do you need to stop doing? Anyone would like to share? What do you need to stop doing? That is what we mean by unlearning. What do you need to stop doing? What do you need to stop doing? Anyone? And maybe it's connected to one of the things. Maybe I need to stop being on social media too much. Yes, I can see some ideas on the chat. Bad habits. Which are some bad habits? Which are some bad habits? So I come from a family of boys, yeah? And some of the bad habits were even just personal hygiene, you know, choosing to skip your shower, yeah? Just not taking care of one's personal hygiene, right? Not being so attached to the phone, absolutely. I think that's a big one. Maybe, the phone and maybe one of the habits is to put my phone somewhere in another room at 8:30 every night and to stop sleeping with my phone, yeah? And you'll see the beginning, maybe you shake a little bit and you'll be like, oh my goodness, can I? But once you get into the habit, you learn how to manage your time. So unlearning, maybe I need to unlearn certain company that I keep, certain shows that I watch, certain shows that when I watch them, they give me the wrong view of women, the wrong view of relationships. They are impure, they're too violent. Maybe I need to unlearn that, yeah? C stands for creatively learn. Maybe what do you think you need to learn to achieve those 5 goals? I know we are now on injury time, but what do you need to learn creatively to get your 5 goals going? Anyone would like to share? What do you need to learn so that your goals move forward? Any thoughts? You can write in the chat, you can just unmute and just shout out what it is that you want to learn. Some of us want to read books, so maybe we need to learn how to choose the books and read them maybe faster than we used to. At least that for me is one of the things, reading faster, right? What is your goal? Some of us maybe, I don't know. What are your goals? What are the things that you feel you want to learn? Time saving, yes. Make the best of every second. Absolutely. Plan your tomorrow today is what I coach a lot of leaders. Don't start the day without a written plan. Yeah? And lastly, adapt with agility. This means that it cannot end today at 5 o'clock. That maybe you will go and you'll share this with 5 other friends, with your family. Maybe today, the get together will be, today I learned something, the 5-finger goal setting. And you will ask them to all draw their fingers and start talking about the goals and choose to hold each other accountable. gentlemen who went through the 5-finger goal setting to ask ourselves how pray, you could meditate. Maybe you want to now ask yourself, what did I unlearn today that I must stop doing? And then what can I learn creatively? And what can I adapt with agility? So I now want to just open up to a minute or two before I share my final slide to ask you, what is it that has struck you the most in this 1 hour we've spent together as we start to think about who we are becoming? I see there's someone annotating. There's someone who's annotating on the screen. And as I wait for your last comments, people ask how I stay so positive after losing my legs. I simply ask how they stay so negative with theirs.
Wow.
When I saw this quote, I asked myself, how grateful am I for the things that I have? And how can I use those things that I am grateful for? How can I be more positive instead of complaining about what I don't have? And then I found this guy, Johnny Joy Jones, and I was blown away. And I thought I had to share this with you. Feel free, take a screenshot, do whatever you'd like with it. I'm happy to send these slides to Chris. But I found that this really made a difference for me. That he has chosen, despite his lack of legs, which he must have lost during the war, to be very positive. How about you and I? What is it that I feel I don't have, that I'm not able to activate very well? But if I choose to take this seriously and positively, I can choose to move forward and become my next best self. Thank you very, very much. Any comments, questions, clarifications?
Well, thank you very much, Dr. Patricia. I really like the 5-finger model. I found it amazing. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Thank you for your feedback.
Same. I also
Any
like
other comments?
the model of the 5 fingers. It was really, it's a nice, yeah.
Thank you so much, Victor. I appreciate that. Anyone else?
Thank you for the talk.
You're most welcome, Ian. Any other comments? Any other comments? Yes, I'm right here.
So thank you very much.
You're most welcome.
The boys are a bit shy, but I'm sure in case of anything, they'll get in touch and then I write to you.
No problem at all. I want to encourage you. First of all, I want to say thank you so much for inviting me.
Yeah,
I have seen what you're doing right here, and I'm so impressed with the fact that those of you who showed up today showed up. I know there are many other competing things you could have been anywhere else, but maybe I want to encourage you to see whether you can speak to 5 or 10 people who you will just start to ask yourself. Thank you so much, David. I see you're saying that the quote that I shared there was intriguing and opened you up the lesson. And I want to challenge you that just do one thing every day in your list of the 5. And you'll begin to see what John Maxwell said, that you'll never change your life until you change something you do daily. The secret of your success is found in your daily routine. I hope that at the end of it all, that these lessons and these ideas have helped you decide, have helped you commit, and I pray and I look forward to meeting you and realizing that you have succeeded in becoming your next best self. Thank you very, very much.
Wow, thanks a lot. Thanks a lot for your time, Dr. Patricia.
It's a joy, and I ask you to pray for me tomorrow as we are launching the first book.
Yeah.
Please get a copy when it's out. I'll share some more details, but just pray that, it'll help somebody somewhere when they read. I've talked about the 5-finger goal setting in there and a few other things that I've
Wow.
Share today. But thank you very much for also helping me not only think about my book today, but I was able to dedicate some time to be with you in a very intense day. And I hope that the seed that has been planted today will continue to grow way beyond this session.
Wow, thank you. Count on our prayers and all the best tomorrow. We'll try get the book, we promise.
Thank you very much. All the very best, gentlemen. Go out and be champions. Be grateful and challenge yourself to become your next best self. Thank you.
Thank you very much.